Composition has 2 to 5 maestros drafting letters to create words. Coup Games provided this in exchange for an honest review. Each maestro has a special ability and 3 starting letters that spell their name. One letter also has a special ability. Maestros are powerful, as you can imagine. Mud may use certain letters as different ones. Ram can sneak a peek at crescendo cards, and Sun starts with 5 roses. In the composition phase, draft note cards from the composition in turn order. These are free, though the wild ghost note costs 1 rose unless it's the final note card. Crescendo cards are special letters with powerful abilities. These cost 5 roses and aren't refilled until the start of the next round. They're normally face down, but I wanted you to see them. Speaking of abilities, some note cards have a hand icon and ability. Resolve immediately after taking a card. If a note card is available, it must be drafted. This phase ends when no note cards remain and the last player chooses not to purchase one of the 2 available crescendos. In Phase 2, use your letter cards to spell 1 word, although some cards allow you to make more. Thanks to your starting letters, you'll always be able to spell a word, and there's no limit to the number of times you can repeat words. This is called your performance, and you may activate card abilities at this time, paying roses if necessary. You'll sometimes have multi-letter cards, which will be important for some abilities and ovation cards. We'll explain those soon. Tomato cards are nasty and must be read out loud once revealed. The audience is getting frustrated, so you'll need to do something special to keep them entertained. If you need help spelling words, you may ask for help, but it'll cost you 1 rose. Unused starting letters return to the right of your maestro. You'll know which ones are yours because of the letters and color. As the game goes, you may gain additional locked letters. Look for the icon on the left side, which will also return to the right of your maestro. Unused drafted note cards go in your course to the left of your maestro. Choose wisely, most maestros have 2 core slots, although Imp has 1 and Hog has 3. These cards can be used in a later performance. Any extra unused letters are discarded. In turn order, say your word. Some abilities will activate during this performance phase. Once everyone has gone, add up your score. See the banner in the top left of each card. The number is that card's rose value. Add these numbers together to get the total for your performance. Some cards have musical symbols. Earn additional roses for matching ones. Finally, check to see if any card abilities modify your performance score. Collect your roses, then begin cleanup. Used locked note cards go to the right of your maestro. Non-locked ones are discarded. Return the ghost note to the composition. Pass the baton to the left, refill the composition based on the composition tracker, and begin the next round. You're probably thinking, the winner has the most roses, right? Nope. A number of ovation and award cards will be out depending on player count. During the composition phase, spend 20 roses to purchase an ovation card. These are mostly babbles and all have locks. Nice. When purchased, do not refill the row. The final round is when the last ovation or award is claimed. Awards are achievements. Spell a word worth a certain number of points with certain note cards of a certain length, and so on. You cannot claim an award and purchase an ovation on the same turn. Each of these cards have applause badges. The winner has the most applause badges at the end. Cleverly use the available notes and crescendos to sell valuable words, trigger ovations, and fulfill awards. That's composition. Our games of composition, including setup and takedown, have been around 60 minutes. That includes 2 learning games. We had a game end in 45 minutes, but we really raced in that one. Player areas can grow to the size of a placemat, and the central area is surprisingly large. 3 players and more should stick to a dining table. There's grade 2/3 rating, and math is simple. The real trick is quickly reacting to the game state. Try with experienced 8-year-olds and expect kids 9 and up to be more competitive. More on this later. The game might be too chaotic with 4 players. I think 3 players provides the best balance of strategy and tactics. In our second game of composition, we taught Grandma how to play. Late in the game, Grandma took a letter on me I needed in order to spell mouthful. I took what Dad needed to spell nuisance, which is a fun coincidence. He got us revenge the next round when I desperately needed the ghost note. Unfortunately, I ended up in 3rd place. I love that each character in composition has their own abilities, giving different strategies and ways to mitigate luck. Then again, some like Mud and Rex are very dependent on the situation, and others like Cat might end up helping your opponents. This isn't always a bad thing, but it's something to watch for when introducing new/younger players. I'll compare this more to Paperback at the end, but this game, in some ways, you can always spell at least one word and can repeat words. It's easier than the deck building classic. It's more difficult in other ways, utilizing your ability in chorus, deciding when to use crescendos or go for ovations, and so on. The art is super cute, and the graphic design is pretty good, but some ovation and tomato cards are a bit unclear. Often in this game, the more explanation there is on a card, the less clear it is. This game needs an editor. There's an FAQ, but if the rules and cards were written a bit better in the first place, it wouldn't need one. For example, Rancid Tomato says, if revealed in the composition, shuffle all drawn note cards face down. Whoever takes Rancid Tomato discards all chorus cards, which seems to state that you resolve at that time, yet the designer says to include note cards even after the tomato comes out. Just say, if in the composition, shuffle all drawn note cards, then place face down. The last sentence works as is. The rulebook shows the composition as note cards and crescendos. When you spend roses on a crescendo, you don't draft a note card. When you spend roses on an ovation, which is not in the composition, you don't draft a note card. So why have the crescendos in the composition? Why not just lay the game out in a better way to group things by how you use them? Awards, ovations, crescendos, then note cards. This makes more sense from a player's point of view, and if the Rancid Tomato is rewritten the way I just said, it also is clearer. It's great that the box is small enough to bring with you in a backpack or purse, but the play area makes it hard to play in, say, the lunchroom. I really like the arc of the game. It's slow early on when you're making 3- and 4-letter words. Once you get some roses and a powerful crescendo or two, you're close to your first award. Maybe instead of a crescendo, you spend roses for an ovation. It's a clever system that gives players a choice and starts the snowball rolling toward the end. I like how some crescendos are locked notes, but some are one and done, but tend to be powerful. The core system is so helpful here, so you can store things, but watch out for cards that force you to lose your choruses, not to mention the card limit. Smart design. I like how the composition tracker means more note cards are available as the game goes on. There's that rolling snowball I mentioned. The Mass Maestro's ability means you'll start with a random set of the other Maestro's unused letters. It's less strategic, although you do get an additional letter. It's a neat twist for expert players. Composition is a card drafting game with a good mix of strategy and tactics, although the exact mix depends on the characters chosen. Despite my complaints earlier, I think that I prefer this to the basic game of Paperback. When you add that game's variants though, I'm not so sure. We have the Paperback expansion, but I sadly haven't played it enough to comment on. I do think it's harder to introduce this game, but the full Paperback is harder to master. If Coog Games makes a PDF rulebook and card sticker sheet available, we could fix our issues with the game and be left with all the good stuff. And there's a lot of good stuff here.